Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the Doctors Are In show here on Psychic Talk Radio Network. This is the show where we discuss and take your questions on tarot, numerology, Vedic mantras and practices, as well as anything and everything psychic, spiritual, hypnosis, meditation, energy healing, psychic development, and so much more. We also take your calls for free mini readings and guidance live on the air. So if you want to have a mini reading done or you'd like some guidance, call our number at 714-816-4628 and press the number 1 so that you can get into the question queue. That number, again, is 714-816-4628. And don't forget to press the number 1. In today's topic, we are dealing with part 2 of 10 techniques for overcoming fear, stress, and anxiety. But before we get to that, let me do a couple of introductions. I am your hostess with the mostest, Dr. Rose. And I love talking about all things psychic. I'm an intuitive certified life coach, and I have a passion for mythology. I love to work with, invoke, and befriend divine beings from different traditions. But most importantly, I love to take all of my psychic knowledge and skills and help others just like you to have a real transformation in your life. So welcome to the show, and joining me as always is my co-host, the founder and executive producer of Psychic Talk Radio, Dr. Dax. He is also the founder and president of the Tarot Guild in its 16th year, a radio personality he's been for 10 years now, as well as a certified tarot master, numerologist, life coach, and professional hypnotist. And here he is, the fabulous Dr. Dax. Hi, Dax. How are you doing? It's great to be back on the air with you.
Hi, Dr. Rose. Another fabulous Friday. Here we are. And great topic again. In fact, I've really been enjoying, this entire series of living life on purpose this entire month. And if you guys missed any of the shows, go in the archive and listen, right, Rose? The easiest way to get to our particular shows on the network, on our website, is to go to psychictalk.net/Fridays, and you'll see all the Friday shows with Rose and I, and you can check out Living Life on Purpose Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3 was actually last week, which was Part 1 of 10 Techniques for Overcoming Fear, Stress, and Anxiety, and this is Part 4 of Living Life on Purpose, and it's Part 2 of 10 Techniques for Overcoming Fear, Stress, and Anxiety. Actually, I think we're going to end up with a lot more than 10 because I've got a whole bunch of other bonus ones that we'll see if we can squeeze in there.
Nice.
Great stuff. I see people lining up in the caller queue. We take the calls in the order that they come in, so everybody hold your spot there. We'll be getting the call shortly. Also, you can join us in the chat room. Oh, Sharona's in there. Hi, Sharona. Sharona Rasky from our Sunday show. She's always in the chat room, thetarotguild.com/chat. So it's 100% free to come over and use our chat room and chat with us, give us comments, suggestions, ideas, and, of course, you can ask for a mini reading live on air. Right in the chat room, and also live on air calling into the show. Of course, we prefer people to call in because it's more fun to chat with people, right, Rose?
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
More fun, but you can ask in the chat room. Just put your question in there, and we'll cycle between the chat room and the phone calls if anybody pops in there. Remember, it's thetarotguild.com/chat. We'd love to chat with you. Oh, so the numerology today, 4/24/2020. Gotta love all those twos. So it adds up to 14, Rose. 1 plus 4 is 5. That's the energy of the adventure. Yeah. It's the energy of change. Anybody that's familiar with tarot and all of the 5 cards, sometimes it's not happy change, but it's change, and it's also that adventurous spirit. It's also a high energy day, so you could get a lot accomplished. And speaking of the day, it's the 24th. 2 plus 4 is 6. That's hearth and home. So you have a lot of energy today. You could get out there and, like I've been doing, the yard work. We're on the stay-at-home order, so I'm doing the yard work. I'm doing stuff inside. This is a great time to, make the nest how you want it to be. You're stuck at home anyway, folks. You're stuck at home anyway.
That's right.
So, yeah. And, what we've been talking about all this month, living life on purpose, really taking back control. Everybody's feeling like they don't have control, and it leads to stress and all the other things too, of course, not being able to work, the financial things, leads to the stress and the anxiety. People have panic attacks. One of the main things you could do is channel that and do positive things. And so the numerology is like perfectly lined up with this. 5 is also sometimes the chaos number in numerology. So there's two sides to the energies for all the numbers. And that's the other side of the coin. You don't want to slip down that side of the coin, into the chaos. Instead, you want to use the positive side, the high energy, the adventurous spirit. Of course, no one's going to be running off on, an excursion to Europe, or if you're in Europe, an excursion over here, or no one's going to be taking a cruise, going on vacation, going to Vegas or anything like that. But
right.
We can virtually do all that stuff, and we can visit. You can get on Skype with your friend in France. You can, or your friends right down the street. Right, Rose?
That's right. I've known people to have birthday. Actually, my cousin is having a virtual birthday party tomorrow, and she has invited a lot of our family to be a part of that. And I have a friend who, April 20th is the time where marijuana became legal, right? So they call it the 420. It was April 20th. And a friend of mine had went to a virtual pot party on that day. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know you could do that. But, so there are a lot of ways to connect.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, that 420 goes way back. No one really knows where that started. I had a theory when I was a kid, which is like, many, 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 many decades ago when I was in school, right? and our particular school district, all the schools, we let out at 420.
Okay.
And so that was you walk out the school door, when the alarm goes off, 420, and you go out and light up,
Interesting.
But that was when we were going in later. They actually started us going in by the time I was in mid to late high school, a couple of hours earlier. So we got out at 2:20. So, but 4:20 always stuck for some reason. I don't know.
Interesting.
So that's the numerology. Yeah. So that's the numerology of the day, and then the card of the day is the 7 of Wands. Now, here's another card that fits perfectly with what we're talking about. It's a card of resilience. Fierce competition is a possibility, an approaching struggle, victory, energy, courage, personal power, taking a stand, overcoming obstacles. So in the traditional Waite-Smith version of the card, the individual in the card is on the top of the hill. There's like 6 wands coming at him from below. He's got one wand. It's really staves, and he's got, you know, this big staff, and he's holding it with both hands, you know, like in a combat stance. And of course, you know, having the high ground is what you always want in battle, and he's got the high ground. He's on the top of the mound or the top of the hill there, Rose, you know. So he's really in a good position. And what we've been talking about all month, and especially the last 2 shows, well, today and last week with these 10 techniques, is it puts you back in the driver's seat. It gives you the power, okay?
Right?
Personal power. And such an apropos card. That's the card of the day, the 7 of Wands. Glad I got that one because it really, really fits good. Really fits good. So let's see here.
It also goes with my experience that I've been having this week. We've been talking with some other people. We've been talking about how this week feels a lot more powerful. Like the past 2 or 3 weeks have been rough. I mean, it's, you know, like you're riding in a Jeep with no shocks on a bumpy road kind of thing. But this week has been a lot more clearer for people. I even had a discussion with a friend of mine who was talking about some problems that she's having at home and with the people that she's living with. And so I said, you know what, because I listened to her and everything, and and I told her, I said, look, you don't have to suffer. Just play some mantra music, and it'll change everything. And it did, and it was so funny. She had a sister who came home who brought her flowers and things of that nature. Start gaining that power back, and not feeling like you're just a victim to life circumstances kind of thing. So I would say that your the number for the day is really on point.
Right, and go back and listen to the rest of the shows from part 1, because it'll really set you up. It's kind of a progression as you go through part 1, 2, 3, 4. Of course, these last 2 shows are not marked as the living life on purpose, but the 10 techniques one. So that's the order you watch or listen to: Living Life on Purpose Part 1. Part 2, Taking Advantage of Troubled Times, how you can turn everything around. And then these 2 shows, Part 1 and Part 2 of the 10 techniques. And there's actually a lot more than 10 techniques that we're giving out. In fact, we're going to have a bonus technique today because you're going to do the mantra for calm.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yes. So that's going to be one of the bonus ones. And so before we get to that, let's go through at least, these other 5, and we'll start taking calls. And maybe in between calls we can give a bonus technique in between each call or something like that. I don't know. We'll figure it out when we get there, folks. But if you're exactly. So if you're sitting on the fence, wondering if you should call in, if you're listening live, this is when you should do it. Get into the queue early. There'll only be a few calls ahead of you we'll be able to get to, because we take the calls in the order that they come in. You want to grab that space. So you call 714-816-4628. As soon as you get through, press 1 on your dial pad. That puts you in the queue in the order that you called in. And don't lose that spot. So just hang in there, 714-816-4628. Oh, I did want to mention real quickly, because I know I'm going to forget it. Might as well do it at the beginning of the show, that we are taking the next 2 weeks off. This has been a stressful month, but we did have this great series of shows empowering our listeners. And Rose is, teaching at Berkeley. It's coming to the end there. She's doing it virtually, and she needs to grade papers. Oh, my God.
Yes.
I don't envy you, grading papers.
Well, it's a little bit easier this time around because they've asked us to be more lenient due to all the changes that have occurred, because right before spring break, a lot of students went back home, because that's when the whole self-quarantine and things went into action. And so they've been asking us, as a matter of fact, I know this is kind of like a side note, but UC Berkeley has asked us to do, as a default, they're going to do a pass, no pass grade, so that, letter grades don't affect their, their GPA and things of that nature. And they've asked us to be, gentle. And I asked them, I said, well, how are your professors treating you? And they're like, hey, you and maybe one other have been gentle, but the ones in the sciences and some other, I don't know, I guess, hardcore classes, they're not letting up. I was like, oh, no, that's terrible. So,
wow.
We'll see what happens. But yeah. It is coming to the end of the semester, and I got quite a few things I have to deal with. So I'm going to be off. I'll be off for those two reasons, but I will definitely miss being on the air, for 2 weeks. That's a long time. Usually we do like one Friday or something like that, but this will be 2 in a row.
Yeah, it'll be usually after these breaks, especially if it's 2 or more, it feels like we've been off for a month. I'm just so used to being here on our Fridays. We love our Fridays. And let me just look at the calendar real quick to let everybody know. Friday, May 1st, that's next week, no show, and then May 8th, no show, and then we will be back, let's see, Friday, May 15th with open lines and tarot mini readings all show long. That's right, no topic. So that's a good way to do it. We take 2 weeks off, but when we come back, no topic. We just, take phone calls the whole show. But all the other shows on the network will be going. So go over to psychictalk.net/upcoming to see what's coming up. And I'll be reading off a few of those later in the show. psychictalk.net/upcoming. All righty. So technique number 6, it's called energy psychology. It's called energy healing. It's called meridian tapping, emotional freedom technique, or just tapping. So I thought this week we would start off with that, Rose, because that's my real go-to technique. If you don't get to try all the other 10, 15 techniques we're giving you, at least remember that one. At least try this one. In fact, I'm going to give you a shortened version of it today. But let me see here real quick. I did set up a page with the tapping points for everybody. So what you're doing, folks, is you're tapping on the meridian points in the meridian system, basically from Chinese medicine. And if you think of acupuncture, you've heard of acupuncture and you've seen them, put the needles in. It's the same thing, only it's tapping. Now, back in the 70s and 80s, we called it acupressure, and I actually was a proponent of acupressure back in the day, Rose, yeah. And then they simplified it down to 9 points. The original system was thought field therapy, TFT, and they simplified it because basically you would go to a TFT practitioner, and whatever you were dealing with, there was complicated recipes of tapping that you would do on various meridians and everything like that. And one of the guys that learned it, early on, discovered that, hey, you could shorten it and just use these same 9 points for absolutely everything, and it still worked. And I just want to double check that I get this URL right for everybody. I've got the points up. You go to psychictalk.net/tapping, TAPPING, psychictalk.net/tapping. And then I've got an image there. It shows the 9 points. There's the karate setup point right there on the side of the hand. That's where you tap first and you're doing the setup. If you listen to last week's show, we gave some of those setup statements in a different technique, actually. And you do the setup and then you go through the different tapping points. And underneath the image with the EFT tapping points is a video learning the tapping points where they will take you right through the whole thing. It's actually, I'm trying to remember here off the top of my head, it's the folks from the Tapping Solution and tappingsolution.com. And oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I completely forget her name. I'm just trying to think here if I can remember. It doesn't have the link to go to the video on YouTube. It's Jessica Ortner. That's right. Her and her brother do the Tapping Solution, and I was big into them, years and years ago, Rose, and big into EFT. Most hypnotherapists actually are, which is really interesting because it's technically not hypnosis. However, I think everything is hypnosis, which I can explain on another show. Anyway, on that page, psychetalk.net/tapping, you're going to get a really great introduction with Jessica and an image of exactly where the points are. So I'm going to let everybody do that on their own rather than do it here on the show in the interest of time, Rose. However, I do give everybody an abbreviated version of this because, the more you use it, the better it works. And, of course, in order to memorize the 9 points and everything, you have to do practice. You got to practice, remember where they are. So if you're out and about and you have maybe you have a craving, a food craving, or maybe you just quit smoking, you can use it for that. If you have a craving to smoke, you can use it for stress, anxiety, fears, panic attacks. And in the heat of the moment, though, you might not remember all 9 points, right, Rose? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you there's actually 2 faster versions. I'm going to give you the simplest one. And in the bonus techniques, I'm actually going to give you one that's just 1 point that also works. Tapping on the let me find it here. It's in EFT, it's called the 9 gamut point, and in traditional Chinese medicine, it's called the triple warmer. And that's all you need, really. So we're going to do that in the bonuses. But for the I'm just trying to get focused on this here, and everybody can follow along, and you too, Rose. The faster EFT method. And in regular FT, we do that setup statement I was telling you about, Rose, on the side of the hand. You've probably done EFT before, haven't
you? Not much. I know a little bit about it, but I haven't really practiced
a little about it. Okay. And, we're tapping on the karate chop, and we are saying the setup statements, and then as we go through the points, we're also repeating the issue is the typical formula. Although they've done a lot of work with it over the years. This dates back to the 80s and 70s. In fact, it was originally for post-traumatic stress, PTSD, with veterans coming back from Vietnam, actually, PTSD.
Oh, wow.
And so the way that the faster version is a little different, we're only going to be hitting a few of the points instead of all of them. And I'm going to do the center line version, which is right down the center from the top of the head down the face to the chest. It's so easy because that's all you have to remember. It goes straight down. There's only like 5 points. And the other thing is we don't bother with the setup statement or repeating the issue unless you want to. Or you can even say it inside your head. But the main focus, the main thing you're doing with this is, with the faster version, is that you're bringing up the feeling and really getting into the feeling, Rose. And what you're doing is you're concentrating on the feeling as you tap. And because there's so few, it's so fast that I typically will go through one round and then another and then another, right one after the other before I finish because it's so fast. Okay? So you bring up the feeling, you really step into that feeling. That's the main thing. You're going to take a deep breath, you're going to step into that feeling, and, this is fast and on the fly, so you might just go right into it. If you want to do the SUDS, the subjective units of distress, typically that's what we do is we bring up the feeling, we give it a number between 1 and 10, 1 being almost nothing and 10 being, the worst feeling of this you've ever had in your life. And then we go through the tapping, take a breath again, and then do the SUDS again, on a scale of 1 to 10. We see if it's dropped down, and then we repeat as necessary. But in an emergency, in a panic attack, in the midst of a craving, after the social distancing and or at least the stay-at-home orders are over and we're out and about, and this happens. But even right now, when you're at home, maybe you skip the 1 through 10. That's entirely up to you. Okay, so the way I tap for this faster one is I line up my 4 fingers, the pads, the tips of my 4 fingers, making a line, and then not using the thumb. The thumb's off to the side, and then I've got the 4 fingers, and I try to curl the 2 in the center and make it like a flat surface. Are you getting? I know this is hard to do over radio, but are you getting that, Rose?
I am.
We're going to tap with the finger points. Okay. So the first tapping point is just right on the top of the head, and you can even and you want to tap so that there's a percussion, and you'll hear this in your head. You don't want to be so light that there's no percussion. You don't want to be so hard that you're going to bruise yourself. Okay, you just want it to be firm enough that you're getting a percussion. And to make sure you're hitting the right spot, you might want to even move your hand around in a circle up there on the top of your head. And then from there, you're going to move. Remember, this is straight down the center line of your body. So you're going to move down to the center of the forehead and tap there. People always ask me how many times. Hey, it's whatever you're comfortable with. If you want to go through the rounds really fast and tap, 3-4 times, typically it's 6-7 times or so on each point. So top of the head, center of the forehead, okay. Then it's going to be under the nose. It's going to be on the upper lip, right in the center there. And you can keep your fingers just the same way. What I'm doing is I have them lined up with the top of my head, my forehead, and then I'm turning my hand sideways so that it'll fit into that groove there on the upper lip. So above the lip, below the nose. The next point, they call it the chin point, but actually it is above the chin and below the lower lip, right there in that crevice there, that indentation. You're going to tap there, and then you're going to tap on the center of the chest. I normally go an inch or 2 above the center of the sternum, more more right there, than the lower or middle chest. It's actually a little bit higher there. And so that's what you're going to do. Top of the head, tap, 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 tap. Center of the forehead, upper lip, chin, and center of the chest. And then what you do is grab your wrist. Usually, don't have to do it this way. You can do it both, actually, but I typically take my dominant hand, which would be right, and I wrap my hand around my wrist on the left hand, my non-dominant hand, take a deep breath, and I say, let it go. And then I say, peace. So that's the whole thing. And you only have to remember, and the beauty of the faster method, Rose, is you only have to remember those 5 points. They're straight down. You don't have to worry about setup statements. You don't have to think of what to say, anything like that. You're having stress, you're having anxiety, you're having a craving, whatever it is, step into that and then take a deep breath. Just keep it in mind. And in reality, it's more just feeling it, feel that stress and just tap on the top of the head, center of the forehead, upper lip, chin, center of the chest, grab the wrist, let it go. Peace. That's it.
Nice.
Pretty nice. Yeah. The 9-point traditional method works fantastic, of course, and it's just a lot more to it. And if you watch Jessica's video, it's really easy to pick up, even the longer version, even with the setup statements, even with the, what do I say as I'm tapping? She explains all that, So if you want to learn that too, you can go over to psychictalk.net/tapping and see the points and everything like that. But I thought on the radio show doing the faster one would be better. A lot easier to remember. What do you think of that?
That sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's really all you need. You don't need all these techniques, but we're giving you a whole bunch because find out what works for you. And remember, the more practice, the better it works. So, practice this ahead of time. Don't wait until the panic attack to, practice or test this out, how to do it. Because then you're in the middle of it. You're going, wait, what did Dax say? I tap where? So, in the recording of this show, you could just play this part over a few times and just tap along with us. Okay? So that's number 6. Number 7 is the power word. When we label something, we give it power, right, Rose?
That's correct.
Yeah. And so as we're feeling the anxiety or the stress or the fear, we're labeling it. I've got stress. Even if you're not thinking it out loud or saying it out loud, subconsciously at least, we're labeling it. I feel the stress. I feel this feeling. I feel fear. I feel anxiety, whatever it is. And you're giving it power. And so there's this cool technique that's 45 seconds long that's just the word itself. You can really suck the power out of it. So what do? You say that word. Let's say it's anxiety. Well, let's say it's stress. You say stress. Stress, 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 stress. The idea is you're going to set a timer for 45 seconds or look at your watch or look at the clock on the wall. Say that word as quickly as you can, as many times as you can in 45 seconds. Now, the key is to make sure you pronounce all of the syllables of the word. And still, as long as you can still get all the syllables, but as fast as you possibly can, do that for 45 seconds, take a deep breath, and then notice what's different. Power been sucked out of the word. So there's a quick one for you. Number 8 is the spin technique. It's kinesthetic submodality shifting from NLP, fancy words. But what it is that everything that we experience, we identify it or represent it in one way or another. So, whatever we're seeing or feeling, if we're feeling something, there could be an image associated, smell, it's all the senses. Visually, what we're seeing, we have a representation for everything as it comes in. Because remember, we're experiencing in our brain the signals that are coming in through our five senses. I say six senses, but the five senses they go through filters and then they're represented in the mind. Usually there's images associated, sometimes sounds, smells, and so forth, tastes. And what the spin technique does is it allows us to take a feeling like a fear or stress or anxiety, and we shift these submodalities. So like the seeing, the feeling, which is kinesthetic, the hearing, the smelling, all of that are the modalities, and then the submodalities are what makes them up. For instance, with images, is it black and white or color? Is it a static image or is there movement? Is it a small image or as big as a wall in front of you? How far away from you is it? You see what I mean, Rose? So what we do is, what we're actually doing with this technique is we're finding out what the representation is of the anxiety, stress, or fear that you're having, and then we shift it. This is how we do it. And it works best. It works best if you're standing up, but you can do it sitting down. I like to stand up to do this. You put your feet, kind of shoulder width apart there. And what you're going to do is you're going to scan from the top of your head to your feet. You need to bring up, just like with all of these techniques, bring up that feeling. Try to make it as strong as you can, actually. And then on a scale of 1 to 10, how intense is the feeling, the stress, the anxiety, the fear? And right at that point, that's when you're going to scan from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet and locate the feeling, because it's represented somewhere in your body system. So you're going to be able to notice that it's somewhere in your body. Now, if you don't notice it, what if you did? Pretend that you notice it somewhere in your body. This actually works, folks. So you scan, you find out where it is. Hey, it could be in your throat, your upper chest, your solar plexus, your calf. I don't know. It could be anywhere in your body. Find the feeling, the stress, the fear, the anxiety, and now imagine that you can see into your body. Maybe some of you are having this stress, fear right now, so you can actually do this right now. Stand up, bring up the feeling intense, scan the body, find it, and imagine, close your eyes, imagine you can see into your body, you can see the fear. You can see the anxiety, you can see the stress. What does it look like? Notice that it has a shape. It may be something that is, what's a good word for that, Rose, when it doesn't have an exact shape? It's kind of like changing form. I'm trying to think of a good word for that. Malleable. It just, or it might have a specific shape. Now, real quick, don't think about it. Just first thing that pops in your head, what's the color? It has a color. Notice the color. That's good. Okay. Now what you're going to do is take your hands and actually reach in there, point to where it is, and then reach in and pull it out. And just keep reaching in, pulling it out. You're going to put it in front of you, in between your hands. That's what you're doing. You're pulling the feeling, this shape with this color, out of your body, putting it right in front of you, and make sure you keep pulling it out because it likes to hide. You want to get every little bit of that fear, that anxiety, that stress, and put it right in front of you. Now, notice, quick, has the color changed? Next, notice something else. It has a spin to it. The object is spinning clockwise, or maybe it's spinning counterclockwise. Maybe it's spinning towards you. Maybe it's spinning away from you. This is why it's called the spin technique. And what you want to do is take your hands and start spinning the object, the feeling, the stress, the anxiety, the fear, in the opposite direction that it was spinning when you took it out of your body. And spin it. Actually physically take your hands, in the air. Pretend, folks, pretend. This is all using your imagination. Spin it the opposite direction and keep spinning it. Spin it faster. Spin it faster and faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. So you can't spin it any faster, and then just take your hands and slam it back in where you pulled it out from. And now notice what's different. Take a deep breath. And then on that scale of 1 to 10, where is it? With a lot of people, they'll have that fear, stress, anxiety. It'll be at an 8, 9, even a 10. It'll drop down to a 1 or a 0, maybe a 2. And then what do? Just repeat the technique and get it down to a 0. You can also switch techniques. So you start off doing the spin technique, and you get it down to a 3 or a 2 or a 1. Switch to the EFT. Switch to the tapping. How's that?
Wow.
So is this making sense? And trying to think what I'm trying to ask here. Like, all these techniques are 5 minutes or less. That's all it takes to de-stress, get rid of the anxiety, the fear, stop a panic attack, dead in its tracks. So you listening in, Dr. Rose, do they seem easy and doable to you?
Yeah, I think so. It is some people need visual demonstration, but of course you can't do that on the show. We have the internet. But yeah, it's very visible.
You were breaking up on my end. I don't know what the listeners are hearing.
Probably my phone signal. Yeah, but no, I was saying it's very doable and understandable. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
There you go. It's back. Yeah, it's back. I was just worried it was a Blog Talk issue. Well, in part 1, we did some techniques that just require, awareness. It's not so much of a technique. It's where you're putting your focus and things like that. And so for technique number 9 here, it's actually from Eckhart Tolle. A lot of people say Eckhart Tolle, but I don't really think you pronounce the E. I don't know. I'd have to actually go listen to something on YouTube and see how they pronounce it. But Eckhart, this actually I adapted from. He was doing a talk recently on, the fear and the anxiety that we're all going through because of the COVID-19. This technique is not so much of a technique as it is awareness and bringing yourself back into the now. And sometimes that's all you need to break this up. So he starts out talking about, there's an understandable fear of the virus itself, but also folks are fearing the repercussions of the virus. I think that's more the issue the majority of us are having. Everything closing down, businesses closing down, perhaps your own business closing down, fear of what this means for the future, and not which is what anxiety is. It's a future tense thing. It's not so much the virus itself. What do you think, Rose?
Yeah, I mean, everything is up in the air at this time. I mean, I was feeling that kind of yesterday. Like, how do you remember I talked about this last week about how do you envision a future when everything is so up in the air? At least, we don't know how long we're going to be in the self-quarantine, and, everybody has an opinion if you're watching the news and whatnot.
Well,
so, go ahead.
I don't know about you. I'm feeling it loosening up right now, even though we're still in the lockdown. I hate that word because we're not locked down. I mean, I still go places and go to the store.
Stay home or self-quarantine. Yeah. Still say lockdown.
Yeah, but let's just say the stay-at-home order, which a majority of us are still under. But, just today, there's businesses that have been opening up in a couple of states. And I just feel a shifting of energy already, So there is one interesting point that Eckhart made. He said, talking about businesses shutting down, your business, what does that mean for the future, which is what a lot of people, or jobs, that's more the biggest fear. And he said, but it's not just their business, but many are actually going through withdrawal from busyness itself. I love how he said that. It's not just the business. We are so used to, we have an addiction or a habit to our fast-paced, nonstop modern world. And it's just like any other addiction or habit. Habit's more an accurate term, actually. And we're going through, not being able to follow through with that habit. And so this naturally leads to the anxiety and the stress, right? Yeah. So this technique I adapted, basically you're going to do the SUDS again, subjective units of distress, on a scale of 1 to 10. And find out where you are, and then first close your eyes, become aware of the fearful thoughts themselves. The anxiety, the stress, the fear, rather than trying to push the thoughts away, the feelings, notice that they're happening. Observe them without judgment. I know it can be hard to do, but if you try it, I think you're going to be able to do this, where you're just going to experience it. And then, next, slowly become aware that something has to be observing the thought. And for a lot of you out there, this may be the first time that you really even notice this. It could be Rose, it could be a very profound moment of realization when you notice, wait a minute, I'm having these thoughts. I'm allowing myself to experience them and experience the thoughts and the ideas and the feelings. But something has to be doing that observing. That's when you realize that you are not the thoughts. And it could be said that the real you is what's observing the mind chatter, as well as the feelings, which are connected to the thoughts.
Right.
They're separate. Yeah. In fact, that's how it's possible to observe the thoughts in the first place. You have to be separate from them to observe them. And sometimes this alone is all you need to dispel the fear and anxiety. Just spending some time with those thoughts, coming to the realization that you are not your thought, and just observing without judgment. And you could spend as much time doing this as you want, or it could just be very short, and then take a deep breath. Notice if the SUDS have changed. Did you start out at an 8 or a 10 or a 9, and now it's, down to a 5 or a 6 or a 4. So that's part of it right there. That's the beginning. And then the second part is redirecting your attention. So, again, you take a deep breath. You do your suds. Take a deep breath. And now you're going to redirect your attention from this thinking, fear, stress, anxiety, into the body.
Mm-hmm.
When we get in contact with our body, it disconnects us from the thoughts, from the thinking mind. And remember, most of these fears and stress are based on anxieties, which are I keep mentioning this, a future tense thing. It's something that hasn't happened yet that most likely won't happen. Most of the things that we have fear of, anxiety of, don't actually ever happen. We're creating them in our mind. So how do you do this? Okay, so we've actually done this with a lot of our techniques so far, the tapping and a lot of the techniques from last week. We're getting into our physical body. I don't know if you've noticed that. The breathing, Rose, alone.
Mm-hmm.
Breathing brings you into your physical body. It takes you out of the thinking space. So a lot of these techniques are based on the body. And one way you could do it is look at your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Just look at your hand. So you're sitting there or standing there, and you lift your forearm up. Look at your hand. That's it. Look at your hand, and then close your eyes and feel the energy of your hand. Notice their sensations. Notice that it's alive. Notice that the hand has an energy to it. And as you're doing this, you may even notice your breathing getting a bit deeper. And this naturally occurs when we refocus our attention on the body or within the body. Can you feel the energy? I could just, automatically feel the aliveness, especially with my eyes closed. That helps a lot. But if you're not, there's a way to it's kind of a cheat technique. But what you do is, open your eyes again, look at the hand, and clench it into a fist, and then open it up as wide as you possibly can, like your fingertips and your thumb, like curling backwards, Dr. Rose. You're stretching your hand out. Stretch your hand out stretch your hand out and then relax. Then stretch your hand out as far as you can and then relax. Stretch your hand out as far as you can and then relax. Stretch your hand out as far as you can, the fingertips, the thumb, and then let it relax. And on that last relaxation, just let your hand sit there, close your eyes again, put your attention back on the hand. Now you're going to feel a little tingling. And it's a little bit of a cheat, but it allows you to without looking at your hands, to actually feel it and experience it. Notice the sensations. And when you close your eyes, you can still see your hand. You can still imagine or pretend, visualize your hand as you're also experiencing the feelings. Do that for a little bit. Open your eyes. Take a deep breath. Notice what's changed. Do your subjective units of distress, your SUDS, your SUD, and repeat it. So it's really a two-parter there. It's the awareness part, and then bringing yourself back into the now. By the way, if you haven't ever read it, pick up Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now. Gonna love it. You're gonna love it. Okay. So that's the rest of the techniques. There is a 10th technique, and it's a guided visualization. I'm actually going to put out a recording of a guided visualization. But basically what we're saying here is not so much a technique, but any hypnosis track, and you could get these on YouTube for free. You can get them all over the web for free. and put on your earphones. It's always better to have your earphones on, especially if it has binaural beats in it. You'll see what I mean if you search on YouTube, binaural hypnosis. And you could find guided visualizations for de-stressing, fear, anxiety, or just listening to a track that has the music with the binaural beats and no guided visualization. You can do that as well. But yeah, you just look for these, and when you're feeling the stress, do a guided visualization. Put in your earbuds, listen to the track. It's that simple. And I'm actually going to put one out specifically for this. And then we've got some bonus techniques. I don't know if we'll have time to get to them today because we've gone through a lot of the show already. Dr. Rose, oh my God. But
that's how it goes sometimes, right?
Well, just shows like this, like last week and this week, where we're trying to put out really quality content, really great techniques that can empower everybody. You can take your power back. You can combat the fear, the anxiety, the stress that you're feeling during this time with the health crisis and everything like that. I think that's more important than anything else we do on the show. But what do you say we take a phone call or two and then do your mantra for calming?
Sounds great.
All righty. And when we come back after our 2-week vacation there, not a vacation for you, just for me. You're going to be great papers. When we come back, if we don't get through all the bonus ones I have, we can do them on the 15th when we come back. I did want to try to get that triple warmer out because it goes along with the tapping, and it's actually just 1 point, so it's all you have to remember is the 1 point. Okay, so let's see. Who's been waiting the longest? It looks like area code 310. Are you there, caller?
And I remember thinking about how her attitude.
Hello?
Hello? Oh, gosh. Okay, we're going to put them back on hold. They were so waiting so long that they started a conversation with somebody else on a different phone, apparently. Anyway, we're going to go to area code 919. Are you there, caller?
You? Thank you for the... Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello?
Where are you calling in from? What's your name?
I'm calling in from North Carolina.
Awesome. And your name, hon?
Janet.
Janet, how you guys doing out there?
We're hanging in here. It's kind of tough, but we're hanging in here, We just got to deal with it the best way we can, and can't change it, so it is what it is, But
right.
Thank you for your show. I'm very interested in probably, trying to practice this. I've never tried to do it before, so thank you for your tips. But I've definitely been having a lot of stress and stuff going on. I went through a few months ago where I lost my husband, and with this on top of it is really tough, very, very hard.
Yeah.
But so I'm hoping maybe this will, kind of help me a little bit. But could you possibly do a mini reading for me?
Sure. And what's your burning question there, Janet?
Honestly, it would have to be if there's any type of connection or message that you could give me from my deceased loved one.
Okay, I missed the very end of that. Any advice on what?
I said, is there any type of message that you could give me on my deceased loved one?
Okay, so are you talking about your husband?
Yes.
Okay. So let's see what's coming up. Of course, I have to preface it by saying I don't channel, and so I really don't get specific information from the dearly departed. Not a medium. Got to say that out. I just read the cards and what comes up. The Nine of Swords comes up first, which is, the stress, the anxiety, what you've been feeling about all of this. Okay, but in the midst of that, and we also got the Five of Cups, which is literally the crying over spilt milk card. So in the card, 3 of the 5 cups have spilt their contents, and the individual is looking down, kind of hunched over, looking down at what's been lost. But right behind the individual is 2 upright cups completely full. If he or she would just turn around, they would see that. All right? And so that's the message that's coming through, is that in the midst of despair, there's always the other side of the coin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Okay.
And, if you're concerned about your recently departed husband, first of all, don't be. They're in a better place. But what's coming up in the cards is the cards are saying they want you to really pay attention, because there are messages coming through. I'm getting the
That's what
Nine
I've
of
been
Cups
going
here.
through. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've been going through. I have really, through this, have started on a spiritual path, because I didn't know this could exist, and stuff was happening too frequently and, too often. And so it took me into, trying to research things. And that's what I've been feeling.
Right.
That's exactly what I've been feeling.
So the messages that are coming up are basically confirmation for you, Janet. And one of the other cards I got was the Queen of Swords. She's a lot more analytical, and she has that single sword. So swords are thoughts and ideas. And so we go back to the first card, which was the Nine of Swords, which is a lot of thoughts and ideas. In the card, literally the woman is waking up in the middle of the night, and it's the anxiety and the stress and the fears and everything like that. But I wanted to point out the difference between, in that first card with 9 swords, lots of thoughts and ideas, and then there's the Queen of Swords with a single idea. The cards are saying, the universe is giving that message for you to lock onto the singular idea and move forward with that. Focus on a single thing. What do you want to draw into your life now? How do you want things to be? That's the way out of all of this. So there's the Five of Cups. Remember the other side of the coin. Remember what's there. The Knight of Cups. Pay attention to the messages coming through, because he is letting you know that he's okay over there.
Yeah.
And then the Queen of Swords.
Yeah.
That's what you need to stabilize your life right now, is to focus on what you want, how you want things to be going forward, and to draw that in.
Okay.
I hope that resonates with you.
It does, and thank you for all the tips earlier. I'm actually going to go on your website and check out the tapping thing with the lady named Jessica. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks
Take
for the
care.
call, Janet.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
And for Janet and everybody else, all of our listeners, I want to remind everybody to, go back and at least listen to last week's show so you get the other techniques. But preferably, listen to this whole series of shows. Go to psychictalk.net/Fridays, psychictalk.net/Fridays, or you can go anywhere on our website except for actually you can do it on the main page. There's a link to past shows. But if you go to one of the other pages and scroll down on the right-hand side. It has all the show titles listed. Look for The Doctors Are In. Go on that, and you can go back and listen to the last 4 shows. Right, Rose?
That's correct.
Awesome sauce. So I did want to mention, we're taking the next 2 weeks off, but we'll be back on the, let me double check. Is it the 15th? Yeah, Friday the 15th. And let's see. But I will be back on actually with Mary Brown tomorrow on Tarot Today Radio. What do we need to know about the economy? We're doing a psychic spin segment where we're going to consult the tarot and look at the economy. What do we need to know? Plus, we'll be taking mini readings tomorrow. If we don't get to your call today, you can call in tomorrow. We'll have a lot more time than we did on this show for calls. And then Sunday, April 26th, it's the Magic Universe show with Sharona Rapsik, and she's doing a show on vision boards, revisiting your future. Another great show that fits in with all the shows that have been presented on the network this month. All pretty much aiming at the same thing. For instance, Compassionate Light, Healing and Guidance. Catherine's been focusing on the abundance mindset. It's a lot of the same stuff. I think it really helps our listeners in this time of crisis. And speaking of Mondays, Wisdom of the Soul with Janice Fuchs, followed by Compassionate Light with Catherine Hahn. April 27th, she'll be doing part 4 of her month-long series on the abundance mindset. There you go. Mm-hmm. Then we'll be in May. Yeah, we'll be in May. Okay, so that's what's coming up. You can go to psychictalk.net/upcoming to see all of those shows there. Let's see, I'm checking in. Okay, it was Susan in the chat room. That was that. She said that she was that 310 number we were trying to connect with. So we'll go to her in just a second. Hey, I want to give one of the bonus techniques because it goes along with the tapping, Rose, that if you know, Rose, we have the standard longer, 9 tapping EFT, 9 points, and then we have the faster one that I gave you. If you can't remember the 9, you can't even remember the faster one, just do the triple warmer point. Right. It's also called 9 gamut in EFT. In Chinese medicine, it's called triple warmer. What you're going to look at is you're going to look between your ring finger and the pinky finger on your hand, and notice that as you go down the back of the hand, there's a channel there. You can feel it between the 3rd and 4th metacarpal, I believe. So, Rose, follow along with me here. Mm-hmm. Can you find that channel? It's go right between your last 2 fingers there, pinky finger and the ring finger, and start to go down the back of your hand. Your finger, the ends of your finger are just gonna fall into this channel, and that's right where the triple warmer is, right there on the back of your hand. And you can do it on either hand, or you can do it on one, then do it on the other. Do both. I tend to like to tap with my dominant hand on my right hand on my left, my non-dominant hand. Mm-hmm. And 2 fingers fit in there perfectly. 2 fingers fit in that channel perfectly, right between the metacarpals. And you can use the pointer finger and your middle finger, or I like to use the middle finger and my ring finger. So the middle finger and the ring finger. So you're basically holding up your left hand, kind of like in the karate chop position, and just take your ring finger and your ring finger and your middle finger. Put it between the ring finger and the pinky finger of your left hand, and then just draw it down to the back of the hand. You're going to fall right into that channel, and that's where you're going to tap. You're going to tap firmly in that channel.
Is this between the knuckles?
So you're going to go past the knuckles. So you're talking about the last knuckle before it becomes the back of your hand? Is that what you're talking about?
I guess. I mean, yeah, okay. I'm not really clear on what the location is because you were talking about.
Yeah, it's hard to do this. It's hard to do this over radio. But
right,
where? Let me try to figure out a way to explain this a little bit easier. And folks, you can Google it. Just put in triple warmer spot, on Google. It's gonna pop up. You can see pictures. Click on images. It'll show you the picture of where it is. But basically, if you look at your ring finger and your pinky finger next to it, and both of those fingers connect to the back of your hand, and
right.
so that would be the last two knuckles. And if you go between the last two knuckles, the ring finger knuckle and the pinky finger knuckle onto the back of your hand, it's going to drop into this channel. Yeah, that's where you're going to tap. Yes. And so this is an empowering point. The triple warmer, it warms things up. So this could be a little different from all the other techniques, and especially like the EFT, the long form or the faster EFT version that we talked about on the show today. Because rather than focusing in on the negative, rather than focusing in on the craving or the fear or the stress or the anxiety, you want to focus in on the exact opposite. And just you're going to put it in your own words, and you're just going to tap really firmly in that triple warmer spot, whatever it is that you want to pull in. I'm successful. I'm calm and relaxed. I have abundance. I don't know. It's whatever it is that you're wanting to create. So we've been talking about stress and anxiety and fear. So what's the opposite of that? What would you rather have than that thing? I'm calm and relaxed. And with this one, you want to be a little firmer and louder, a little more forceful in your voice than you do with the EFT. You're going to really tap that in there. I am powerful. I have completely wiped out the fear and the anxiety. I no longer have this fear and anxiety. I am calm and what's another good word? Calm and relaxed. So you want to put these things in your own words. You don't want to use other people's words. So and it might not even be words. It might just be the feeling of, what does that feel like being calm, relaxed, and you're gonna tap on that point. Okay, so I just wanted to get that out of the way so that if you don't remember anything or any of these techniques when you're in the throes of the issue, you can at least do the triple warmer.
Yeah,
it works awesome. So let's do the mantra for calm, and then we'll go back to the callers. We'll see if we can get 3101. I think it's Susan. What's the mantra for calm you got?
The mantra for calm. So, there's a lot of stress and anxiety out there. Given the the current circumstances that we are finding ourselves globally. And it's interesting because in the United States, we often focus on ourselves, especially the news. It's all about the U.S. But just to let you guys know, I play video games and I meet video gamers from all around the world. And recently I connected with a gamer in Germany, and he's saying the same thing is happening there as well, and everybody's staying at home. So, we are one community staying at home for, all around the world. So you're not alone. That's an important thing to remember. But when you find yourself getting stressed out and it just feels like an imbalance, those of you who are sensitive to, yourself, your energies, who are paying attention to what thoughts you're having, you can pick it up easier or more easily. Those of you who may not be that sensitive, you may just feel off, or you're depressed, or you really can envision a future for yourself and your family or whomever. The mantra to chant is Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. And I'll tell you a couple of things about it, because I learned this from what they call a Siddha master, one who has accomplished, this kind of spiritual power and whatnot. His name is Dr. Bhaskar and Pillai of the Pillai Center. And basically, to give the breakdown of it, Om is the sum total of consciousness. Some of you might connect Om to a particular Hindu deity like Ganesha. Some people spell it A-U-M or O-M. It just kind of depends. There's no real, one way or the other right way to do it to spell it. And then others you may connect that with Shiva. Shiva is considered to be a supreme being in India. And he is all about consciousness. You might find a lot of images of him with his legs crossed, and I think the lotus position is what it's called. And he's meditating, or he looks like he's in trance. His eyes may not be fully open. They may or may not be fully open, but that's something that he does. He's a higher consciousness being, and that's his main, I guess you could say, I won't say concern, but his main role is to, continue to move up into the higher consciousness levels and to help humanity do so as well. It's not like he's just doing it for himself and don't care about anybody else, but it's done for the universe, basically. And so Om is also connected with him. And then Namah Shivaya, there are a couple of things about it. So each syllable is actually a representation of the elements. So Na is earth, Ma water, Shi is fire, Va is air, and Ya is ether or the cosmos. Okay? And when you chant Om Namah Shivaya and you do it, just do it. Don't worry about how many times. If you want to do a standard practice, that's fine. The standard practice is usually 108 times, a day that you would chant Om Namah Shivaya. But you don't have to do it for that. If you're just feeling stressed out and anxiety, and having anxiety, sometimes people don't think about the number of, chants that they do, and you don't have to. So I just want to let you know that. Chant Om Namah Shivaya to really bring yourself into balance. If you know about the chakras and everything, so some of these, the elements, the Namah Shivaya is also connected to your chakras. And what happens is that when we're stressed out, we're, fearful, we're doubtful, we're, just a lot of crazy stuff going on in the head. It's because you're off balance. The energy in your chakras is off balance, for those of you who believe in chakras, or the elements. Think about it, we are all made up of the elements of fire, water, air, earth, and ether. That's our makeup, even our physical makeup. Our physical makeup is earth, right? Water is, think of blood and the fact that we have to drink water in order to survive. Air is the air that we breathe, the oxygen that goes in and out. And then fire is like our heat in our bodies, right? We have to have a certain kind of temperature to survive. So in a sense, it's a kind of fire, right? And then ether is our connection to the cosmos, and we are all of that. If you follow some of what the gurus say out there, I think this is also in the Bible, that we are all gods and goddesses. We have just forgotten. So that's that cosmos connection, in my opinion, my humble opinion. So when you chant Om Namah Shivaya, it brings you back into balance, because it means that when you're experiencing fear and doubt and, those kinds of pains and things of that nature, it means something is off. You're one of those of you who deal with chakras, but one of the chakras or two or more may be off balance, maybe generating more energy than you need, or it's not active. But Om Namah Shivaya will bring you back into balance. And just keep chanting it until you feel better. And that's what my recommendation is. Yeah. Is there anything else? Oh, the other thing I wanted to say really quickly, because I mentioned Shiva as the supreme being, and I said that, and Dr. Pillai has said that Namah Shivaya is actually his name in a way. So those of you who are into archetypes and stuff, if you're not, don't worry about it. Just think of it as sound that changes your vibration and frequency. But Namah Shivaya is actually the name of Shiva. because that's what he is. He's all the in balance. That's why he's very, in a peaceful, blissful state, because he's all in alignment. Everything about him and whatnot, his energy is all in alignment. That's what bliss is. When we don't experience bliss, it's because we're caught into something else. We're either distracted or the chakras are off, or whatever you want to call it. The mindset is off. But Om Namah Shivaya is really his name. So Om, the sum total of consciousness, Namah Shivaya, that is the mantra to chant in order to help bring back balance, calm, peace, and blissfulness. And yes, you can be blissful in the midst of all this, of what's going on. So, and that's the mantra for the week.
Awesome. Wow, really great stuff we're putting out. Let's see if we can get area code 310 back on. Hello.
Hello.
Is that you, Susan?
That's me. Yes.
Hi, Susan.
Oh, we got you on finally.
Yay. I'm sorry.
Hi.
I'm working from home, and I opened up an email that came in while I was waiting, and when I clicked something, it started like talking, and I'm like, oh my God. Trying to turn it off.
Wow. That's funny. But we finally were able to get back to you and get you on there. So what's
Awesome.
your burning question for us?
Well, I actually have been trying to do some things to make a decision about whether or not I need to stay where I'm at or if I need to go back to California. And so I've had some interviews, but I didn't end up getting the positions, and I'm not happy in my current spot. Do you see me needing to make that move back?
Let's see. Well, it's definitely leaning that way. There's like a whole cycle ending and another one starting.
Okay.
Definitely leaning that direction. Now, as I do this as a yes/no, and I've got it's a 5-card spread I use on air because it's real fast, and I'm getting 3 out of 5 yeses. Now, that's more in the realm of maybe. It's not a strong yes. Like if I would get a 5 or a 4, 5 cards that were yes cards, 4 cards that were yes cards, that's a strong yes. I'm getting more of a, it could go either way, but it's leaning towards yes. And that was my, even before I drew the cards, that was my strong feeling. And then when I saw the Ten of Swords, the Ten of Swords is a card about the ending of one cycle, the beginning of another. The day is dawning in the background, even though despite the horrific scene in the traditional Waite Smith version of the card, with the 10 swords going, basically in the fellow's back. Except I want to point out there's no blood. Yes, I don't know if you ever noticed that, guys. But if you ever seen this version, the Waite Smith version of the card, and been horrified by oh my God, look at all those swords. But if you look really closely, there's no blood. And the other thing is, if you look past at the horizon, even though above us is darkness, like dark clouds, dark sky, but there's yellow in the background. It's the dawn coming up. Yellow is the color of optimism. All right. And so as soon as I saw this, I knew that this is a finality. This is a real ending to the current cycle for you, and the beginning of a fresh, brand new cycle.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Now,
awesome.
the Knight of Coins is the central focus card. This is the card of practicality. It's the Earth element, Pentacles, which is finance and material things. And of the 4 knights in the deck, the Knight of Coins is the slowest moving knight. And so it's slow going. It's going to be a slow process. It may require it may require some rebalancing. The Temperance card is showing up. It's a card of moderation, but it's also a card of harmony and balance, but also blending of opposites. And, of course, I'd have to do a much longer reading to figure out what that means in your particular circumstances. But, I'm just going to throw it out there and give it to you because maybe after you get off the air, you can sit with that for a while, and then something might pop up about, what needs to be blended, what is seemingly opposite from each other that needs to be blended together. Okay. And, that's what I'm getting.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, I hope that helped you out.
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
All right. Glad we were able to get you back on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And, thank you. And many blessings to you.
Bye, Susan.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I think it was California she was saying she was going to go.
Yeah, she
was
was
California. I remember growing up in Pennsylvania, it was always about, growing up watching Chips, right? And it's all about getting to California. When I got my first California driver's license, I was like, yes, I am officially a California beach bum. I love it. I'm a beach surfer dude. I'm just going to go out on the beach now. Yeah. So for my entire life was getting to California, and first I made it almost. Yeah, I made it across the entire country, almost to California, but was here in Arizona, and then I finally made it, and then I had to leave, and then I went back again, and then I went to Seattle, and then I went back to Arizona, and then back to California, and then now I'm back here again. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to retire in Southern California, get back over there. Okay, so we're almost at the end of the show. If we don't get to your call today, remember you can join Mary and I tomorrow. It'll be calls almost all show long. We're just going to do that quick psychic spin segment on the economy, what we need to know now with this health crisis here. I mentioned that guided meditation. I'm going to try to get that out. I'm going to do a really short one right now, Rose. This is like super, super fast to get you, into the calm. It's called, I call it Going to Oz. And this is what we're going to do. Everybody close your eyes. Close your eyes, Rose, okay? You are slipping into Dorothy's ruby red slippers. And, of course, that means where? We're in Oz, yeah. But don't worry, this is a magical place, so the slippers will automatically adjust to the size of your feet. And for you guys out there, maybe they morph into ruby red combat boots. I don't know. Anyway. And here we are, there's no place like home. Hey, we're at the end of the story now. You've gone through the whole story. I mean, the Tin Man and the Lion and the Scarecrow, the flying monkeys, I'm melting. Yes, we've gone through the whole story. You're at the end now. This is where you can click your heels together 3 times. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. And you can open your eyes and see in the mirror. Oh, I look in the mirror, and I am at home. Secure, comfortable, safe, loved, happy, calm, comfy, protected. Whatever home means to you. And then open your eyes. There you go. Just a quick trip through Oz, through Oz, just takes you right to that calm spot. And there was a little embedded subconscious command there about looking in the mirror. So now, at home, when you walk in and look in a mirror, this is all going to come back to you. And you're going to remember you're at home, and you're safe, and you're calm.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, wow. So go out there and live life on purpose. Oh, speaking of that, before we end the show real quick, Rose, I just wanted to say, laugh on purpose. That's another bonus technique.
Yeah,
there's nothing better, right? There's nothing better than laughter, and you cannot feel a negative state, feel fear, anxiety, stress when you're laughing. You can only do one or the other. You know, remember we were talking in the first show, one of the techniques was your state change and standing up and rolling your shoulders back and adopting the Wonder Woman position or the Rocky position, you know, Rocky Balboa. It's a similar thing, you know. They recommend watching, you know, watch the Three Stooges, you know, watch comedies, you know, laugh. But we can laugh on purpose too, you know, especially if you're at home. There's not too many people watching, hopefully, you know, when you break out into laughter to nothing. But, yeah, hey, just break out into laughter, you know, laugh on purpose, and then now you're living life on purpose. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, we got to say goodbye because we are like way, way over. We're like a half hour over, and I got a whole nother show to do tomorrow. So give us a ring tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, psychictalk.net, and call 714-816-4628. You can talk to Mary and I. We'll be doing readings, and we'll be doing that Psychic Spin segment on the economy. That's going to be very interesting. Thanks to all our listeners and callers. Without you, we don't have a show. And thank you, Rose, for being here with me every week.
Yeah, and thank you so much for co-hosting the show. And to everybody, we will see you in 2 weeks. And Godspeed and many, many blessings. And don't forget, if you miss us, just go to our archives at psychictalk.net. and review our shows. We have lots of wonderful information on our previous shows. But we'll be back in 2 weeks.
That's right. And, of course, you know, we're on Facebook. You can contact us on our group. There's Psychic Talk Radio. There's the Tarot Guild group, which we just hit 6,100 members, 6,100 members. And you can chat with us in between shows. And if you have an idea for the show, maybe there's a topic you want us to cover or an issue that you want to know how we would work with that as life coaches, you know, we would love for you to give us some suggestions. Yeah. So we'll see you in 2 weeks, everybody. Bye, Rose.
Bye. Bye, everybody.